All right, Patrick. So the Twins have clinched. Judd was sufficiently drenched in champagne, much to the chagrin of Twins fans. There's a lot of Twins fans who've been on board the whole time, and Judd's been very skeptical, and they're mad that
right.
Judd got to be in the champagne celebration.
Nobody except Judd was down on this team this summer when they were scoring.
Falvey was down on this team at the trade dedeadline. He's like, I ain't trading for anyone for you guys.
When they were scoring 1.5 runs a game, they were Judd was the only guy in town. When they were hitting. When the worst thing that could happen to him was to have the bases loaded with nobody else, that Judd was the only one mad at him, and they were striking out. But Judd and I talked about this yesterday, Phil, that, if you're going to put up on the scoreboard that you just set a record for the most strikeouts by your pitching staff ever by the Twins, when you set an all-time world record for strikeouts as hitters, you ought to put that on the scoreboard too.
Oh, we didn't put that one up. We didn't put that record too.
And they ended up with a nice even number of 1,600 at the end of that game too. They could have put up there and say, something about 1,600. You didn't have to do it when Jeffers took strike 3 to break the record, but you could have said, at 1,600, the Twins have now struck out more than any team in the history of baseball. That'd be kind of, that
with the montage. Right? A scoreboard montage. Right, Joey Gallo.
Then they have Joey come out of the dugout and wave to people.
Tip his cap.
Take a bow there, Joey. So anyway, Joey does not get much mention. Strib was trying to do a piece today on who might be on the roster. Joey does not get much mention. Really, the most interesting thing is Buxton or not, right? And I don't think he's going to be on, but because he didn't swing the bat well, and he didn't play in the field, and the field, and you're going to have the leftover of a cool, wet field. So I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he'll be.
It's not trending that way, and I don't know. I think he kind of if I would say this, if Reusse Lewis can't go, if Buxton can swing a bat off a bench or something, maybe you could make a case. But if you've got Reusse back and Correa back and Julian, there's nowhere to put Buxton unless you're just going to bring him off the bench in the 8th inning.
I guess it's way early to decide on Ross too. I mean Royce too, isn't it? I mean you got another week, so we won't know until the morning of the first playoff game, which is a week from today. So if nobody's seen him taking BP by Sunday or anything, I think that there's a very small chance that he'll be playing, but they could. My counting is that he could be his DL stint runs out on Saturday, so he could play Sunday in Colorado, but they probably won't even take him out there. I don't know. Well, quite an exciting final week here, though, with the opponents that get to play, the A's. I looked it up. The attendance they have announced so far is 1,911,000. So they're not going to make 2, but they are going to be. Last year, as they collapsed down the stretch, what they ended up announcing was 1.8. So it's an improvement, but I think they're slightly disappointed in their crowds. Although I do think they've come back to some degree. That there's more interest in them. Even in the middle of this summer, there was more interest in them than there was a year ago, I think. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the game in general, there's more interest in it because of the way they're playing the game now. And didn't I read something? The attendance is up 4 or 5% all over baseball.
It is up. Yes, yep. It is up.
Yeah.
So the Yankees, by the way, how do you think those empty seats of them? They announced an average of 40,000 a game. I got a hunch there's a few no-shows in that crowd when they
they're probably fudging that. But on the Twins attendance front, just back to that for a second. I think they had a chance. They start off hot, weren't they? A bunch of games over 500 the first couple weeks of the season, and then they just nosedive for 2 months. So to me, it was more like the May, June leading into the trade deadline. Now, I mean, Judd and I were out there on Saturday hosting a SKOR North event up in the the posh balcony by the left field foul pole.
Yeah.
And even the day after they clinched with the minor league hungover lineup, it was festive. I mean, it was packed.
Yeah.
People are on board now, it feels like.
What did they give out stocking hats all weekend, or did they have other? Because Friday night they were giving out stocking hats.
I think it was stocking hats all weekend.
All weekend, okay.
I think so,
right.
yeah.
So you could get that wasn't a bad. I snatched a couple of them. That's not bad. When I shovel the sidewalk, I'm always looking around for one. So,
right here, huh? How about that, huh?
Yeah, it's not a bad, not a bad one. It's,
and optimistically, I think they're hoping that you may need that stocking cap for like middle to late October, which we've never really test driven that weather since the construction of Target Field. Maybe in March and April, but not in October.
When is the last date of a playoff game in that place? October,
I think like October 7th or 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. They've never made it to my birthday, October 17th. They've never made it to my birthday in that ballpark. Mm-mm. It is, Phil, as we've talked about before, though. It was amazing, the timing of this ballpark, because the first year could not have been more festive, even though they lost those games. And the it's happening year, it's amazing what that 1950 finish did to their market, because they built that place thinking that winning the division and being in contention was the new reality for the organization. Every 2011, I've said it 100 times. The only thing I heard in spring training was, "Reusse, can we beat the Yankees?" And then you end up losing 99 in your second year there. When they went over 3 again that year, but that wasn't real. But that place was supposed to be a madhouse of season. They had 26,000 season tickets, I believe.
Wow.
You couldn't pick your plan. I called and said, "Can I get a 20-game plan and pick it?" They're like, "No, we designate them. You can't." Now I can pick if I want 200 tickets to one game.
You can get the Declan plan. Give me with the Declan. What'd you pay for those tickets?
I think I did a 20 gamer, and I think it was around 12.
Yeah, and
I think
supposedly in the third deck, right? But you could go sit in the second if you want.
Oh no, my season tickets were lower level. I was technically
for 12?
I was the first row on the railing, the farthest back row, closest to the concourse, but no one was in my section, so I was down on row 5 for most games.
Yeah, it's and to give them a lot of credit, they put a lot of money into that stadium. They've improved it and made it done a bunch of things, and it's still a hell of a yard, Dave. But we'll find out. We've always said, what is going to happen in there if they're playing the World Series at the end of October? Let's find out. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
He said, let's find out. Let's wear a Parker to a ball game. That should be the slogan. Let's wear a Parker to a ball game.
They should. That's what they should do. They should hand not just the stocking caps. We need the Twins parkas, or maybe it's like Twins Canada Goose jackets or something.
Stick it on the hankies.
Hey, you brought up another topic. You want marketing? Canada Goose. That's marketing, baby. Mm-hmm. They got a nice little jacket that they used to charge about $100 for that they now charge $1,200. The jacket hasn't changed. Since Liam Neeson killed a couple people wearing a Canada Goose jacket in a movie, those things have gone like unbelievable.
It is. Yeah, it's like I'm kind of, I don't know. I'll jump on trends once in a while, but once I see 11 people on a sidewalk in succession wearing Canada Goose jackets, I'm like, I don't know if I need one. I don't know if I want one.
Especially at those numbers, especially at those prices for amazing. So everybody seems to be trending with the idea that Joe Ryan is the Game 3 starter. So then Maeda goes to bullpen. All right. Yeah, I guess so. He's got better stuff, and he was okay his last start, and he got a little life back in his fastball. Brock Stewart coming back to the bullpen today. Man, they should have a good bullpen for the playoffs. They'd be good, man. They gotta
give us your what are your bullpen confidence rankings in order of who you trust?
Well, you got to say Johan, even though you know damn well it's going to be a thriller when he comes in if it's a one-run lead. But generally speaking, when he gets to the really, really point where he has to get somebody out, he does. I like what I've seen of Thielbar the last 6 weeks. He's just throwing fastball and that big loop and curves about all he throws, and his control has been better. Emilio is. You got to give him credit. He doesn't terrify you when he comes in. Now he's about 4 times this year. He's given up awful home runs, but
the key is he's one of the best pitchers in baseball this year with nobody on base. Yeah. So if you can bring him in to start an inning, then you're in decent shape.
You don't want to be. And I don't think you will bring him in the middle of the inning. If Brock Stewart's back throwing 98, him and Louis Varland are the same guy. In fact, Louis might be better with better strikes. I like Louis a lot, but also remember this: is Ober going to be in the bullpen? That's 3 right-handers who can come in and bring
one or two southpaws, Pat.
Who's the second lefty?
You got to have
be one.
Strib
doesn't have one. I don't think
it has to be Funderburk, doesn't it? There isn't another one, right?
There's not.
Well,
but the Strib.
There is. Yeah, there is. There's another one.
No.
Who?
Dallas Keuchel.
No, I don't think so. You want somebody who can strike somebody out. But Funderburk's developed this tendency to strike out, to walk the first hitter he faces, even when it's 8-2.
Yeah.
So it could very well be that they just go with Thielbar as a lefty if they have a 12. I just don't know why you need 9 relievers, but as we
I think it's in case of a 15, because there's no off days. So and there's no runner on second, like you said. So if game 1 goes 15 innings, you gotta have a stash of guys.
We've had a newbie. You'll know we have a newbie crowd, by the way, and if they're there and they're there with their lady friends, and neither of them can figure out why they're not putting a runner on. Don't we put a runner on second base when we're playing a baseball game? When people are surprised that there's not a free runner on second base, we need an official name for that runner too. I see a lot of people use ghost runner. It's not
the Manfred Man. The Manfred Man.
Yeah.
What? It's not a ghost runner. It's not. He's out there. We're seeing him. It's not a ghost runner.
Right.
We don't know how he got there, but we get to see the guy. So, and you know what? I hate to admit it because there's a lot of stuff I complain about at this advanced age, but and a guy who's been a baseball fan for 70 years, but it's turned out good. Putting a guy on second in extra innings. You could push it back another inning if you wanted to, but the way the game is played now, the fact we're all in this, let's get this thing over in 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's turned out it's no more offensive than 3-on-3 in hockey. I don't think so.
Everything they've done, Pat, turned out good. That's the incredible thing. For all we bitched and moaned about this in Manfred, you name me one rule change instituted in the last 2 years or 3 years that has been awful.
Yeah, nothing as far as the speed up's concerned. All that stuff they were trying to do about collisions at home plate about 8 years ago was a beauty. When we were calling guys out who were calling guys safe who were out by 30 feet because the guy put his left foot in the line to catch the base.
Buster Posey.
They had to. And have they made it too easy to steal a base? I mean,
but it's
they should.
It's like the 80s again. With Vince Coleman stealing 100.
But nobody stole the bases as easy as they're stealing them now. So I don't know. I think Acuna has 60 of them. I bet 20 of them are just jogging down to second base in situations. It's added the stolen base, but it's kind of taken away the excitement.
But guys didn't run, Pat. That's the problem. Yeah. Teams just quit. So if the choice is an easier stolen base or you just eliminate that part of the game, I'll take the easier stolen base.
Well, and you had to limit the throws over, else that would become the stalling tactic if a guy didn't want to, okay, you got to throw a pitch in 15 seconds or 20 seconds, and the guy didn't want to do that. He just would have lobbed it over to first base 5 times. So it could have, a stubborn guy like Scherzer or something might have thrown it over there 18 times just to make the rule look silly. So you had to do something. I don't think I haven't seen a lot of influence of the bigger base. So we got a bigger base. I don't.
It doesn't look bigger, really.
It doesn't look bigger. It doesn't look like there's more, plays at first base that are closer because you added an inch to the thing. And the other thing it hasn't done, though, you haven't had guys breaking their ankles because it's a bigger base either. So, yeah.
Well, the shift too. So I just looked up the numbers here. A couple things of note. Compared to last year, the league-wide batting average is up 6 points, and the league-wide batting average on balls put into play is up 7 points. So it has had an impact. The lack of shifting has had an impact on batting averages.
People see Correa standing behind second base, and they say, the left side of the infield is still shifty, right? Just like they did. But this was all put in to help left-handed hitters anyway, because they were getting robbed because there were 3 guys over there, including one of them in the outfield. So it has worked because it's helped left-handed hitters, which is what you were trying to do. There's now balls. A guy like Eddie Julian, who didn't have to deal with it in the big leagues, he's got to be very happy to see to have that little hole out there between the second baseman and second base that never existed before. Kepler too, to some degree. I don't think he's gotten a lot of hits that way. But the line drives have also dropped out there in front of the right fielder where the second baseman was standing. So
in fact, the batting averages for left-handed hitters up 10 points this year, and the batting average on balls in play up 11 points for left-handed hitters. So it has had an impact.
That's who it was. That's who we were trying to get back into the game. And I will say, I don't know who they're going to end up playing, but the American League's got 7 good teams this year. I mean, those 3 teams trying to get the last 2 playoff spots, those are pretty good teams. Yep. Seattle, Texas now. Houston, Seattle. I think Texas looks like Texas is going to win the West. And but Houston, Seattle, Toronto, it's hard to say, boy, I hope we get to play blank. It doesn't really make any difference. They're going to be, you're going to be underdogs. You're going to be a bigger underdog if it turns out to be Houston. But I'm not sure. With this version of Verlander, you can beat that team. You can beat that Houston team. So I think
right now it's very likely to be Houston with a week left. Houston is a game and a half clear on both sides, so they're a game and a half up on the Mariners and a game and a half behind the Blue Jays. So
and we got to know who has the tiebreaker between Houston and Seattle too. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. For instance, Baltimore and Tampa. Baltimore's advantage there, as they were leaking and Tampa was coming on, has been they've had the tiebreaker. So if they ended up, so you got to, that was one thing that they got rid of, which I don't really like, is the game 163. But they had to do something if they're going to squeeze in. They're going to squeeze in another round of playoffs. 13 games to win the World Series now. 13 if you played a first round. When they won the 2, they won 8. You could use 2 pitchers and 2 starters and less
87.
And now you got 30. You got to win 13 games if you're playing in the first round. So,
and if you're the Twins, let's start with 1.
Yeah, all right, that's it.
Let's start with 1.
Today's number is 1.
Yeah. I said that in the column the other day. We should have waited to spray champagne until we won the first game, and then whatever it was, what the hell, have a party, because you're playing with house money if you win 1, because you don't have to hear that for the rest of your lives. And everybody says, well, it's not these guys. No, it's you. the ticket holder. It's you, the fan who goes to a ball game. It's you that this is an embarrassment to. Every time you go into, every time you try to tell somebody, yeah, this Twins team's kind of fun, which I didn't say too often this year, I'll tell you that. But everybody's, yeah, they lost 18 straight playoff games. So they haven't won a playoff game since 2004, for goodness sake. So Timberwolves have won more playoff games than they have, which is really embarrassing. It is interesting, though. The 2004 was also the last Timberwolves year of any note, too. They've what now? We're already got hockey. We're playing exhibition hockey games, and the Wolves start practice. Wolves media day.
The Wolves start camp this week. Media day is Thursday, and then their first game is in a month from today.
Wow, it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff going on here.
It is.
When everybody worry about football, but a lot of stuff. So give me a scouting report. I didn't get to watch Ventline. How was it? Pretty good.
Oh, people are
spirited.
Yeah, there was one guy called in from his pool in Phoenix, I want to say. I can't remember where it was.
Alabama.
That's right.
There's a couple Bama guys.
But most people either want Kwesi fired or they want to tank for Caleb Williams. That's sort of the main takes.
Well, it's a little early to tank for, but nobody's bashing Kirk because they look at the stats instead of looking at him being stupid enough not to spike the ball with guys. How old is he now?
The Kurt friction is back now. The Kurt dissension is definitely coming back. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because it is one of the phenomena. One of the local phenomenons is the. I think a lot of it was. I've said this before. I think a lot of the Kirk love was political, but when it's the right wingers liked him because he didn't get vaccinations and stuff like that, and a lot of it's been the analytical fantasy football crowd too. But it is how all of a sudden a couple of years ago it was not safe to bash Kirk anymore. No, even if they weren't winning, so.
Yeah, he puts up these huge stats, and then in moments of football crisis, he just goes like when your computer goes blue screen of death on you. It just it happens more often than with other top quarterbacks.
If he leaves after this year and they don't do anything this year, they don't make the playoffs. The what you're going to see that's going to be what you see. It's going to be the emoji or whatever it is of him. That's going to be what the moment you remember is when there's people standing, 300 feet away from the field up there in their seats screaming, "Clock the ball!" and the guy down there in the field won't do it. That's going to be what we remember.
We should put that on a shirt, just a silhouette of Kirko just clenching those teeth.
So we think there was a little O'Connell Cousins dissension on the sideline there too. He was. We think that.
Well, O'Connell was trying to get a play in, but Kirk couldn't hear.
Yeah,
the crowd was all excited.
He's talking about something else, though.
Wasn't it earlier in the game that he made a throw? He made a throw. He wanted a short throw on 4th and 2 or something. He made a long throw.
Yeah.
And that they were barking at each other a little.
Kevin sort of confronted him on the cameras, picked him up. Confronting is probably not the right word, but kind of going up, being like, "Hey, what are you doing there, guy?" And Cousins kind of clapped back.
Monday thing, I thought it was not Zim for sure, but I thought it was a little feistier, didn't you, Monday?
Well, he was shaking too. Yeah. You could tell by his voice, the tremble of his voice.
That's what I mean. It was not everything.
Well, he threatened to bench guys, Pat. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that was without the But hey, guys, Judd and I talked about this yesterday. What we really missed after Sunday's game was our guy Thomason. We missed Thomason throwing the Thomason bombs.
What's the question?
He got Peyton.
The historic loss.
You know that he'd already agitated Peyton because Peyton was trying to cut him off before he got 5 words out of his mouth.
Yeah, Sean, I just want to circle back. It's an historical loss. You understand the magnitude of the loss.
Yeah, Zimmer had warned him. You could tell.
Huh?
Zimmer had warned Peyton because they're friends, and you could tell. You could tell.
Yeah, and we don't know if this was the first time that he's barked at him too, because this was just the one that became public. But there were some complaints about him because he could derail a line of questioning at a press conference. But he's missed, man. The Thomason bomb is missed because. Would have Zim lasted an extra year if Thomason wasn't asking him questions to agitate him and put him in a bad mood? Unbelievable. It was great, though.
Oh, man.
How embarrassed in real life is Peyton? I mean, he gives up 70. He's making $9.5 million. He comes in.
He also has the not that Russell Wilson can scapegoat you for putting up 70 points to your defense giving up, but he also at the end of the year has a scapegoat in all right, the Russell Wilson thing's not working, so let's go in a different direction. But the defense.
Don't they? They got to pay him for 3-4 more years. 4 or 5 years. How can he be as rotten as he is? I don't get it. Somebody in Seattle saw it coming, though. They're pretty sharp up there, generally speaking. They saw it coming. We can win more games with Geno Smith than this guy who's only making $40 million a year. There's a lot of $40 million quarterbacks stumbling around right now, aren't there? That aren't.
Daniel Jones is near 40, right?
Stafford looks like an absolute statue. He's just standing there. He does not get rid of the ball rapidly, and how about them going in and getting 9 points or something?
Joe Burrow has an excuse with the calf injury, but he's also been Joe Burrow through the first 3 games is one of only 5 quarterbacks to average 4 yards per attempt, and the other ones are J.P. Losman and some other random bus.
Yeah, it's this is after didn't they make him the highest paid ever?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't this year's? This is the
highest.
I mean,
he'll be fine once his calf heals, but
yeah. But so.
All right, Pat. Well, we got to get to a scoop session with Doogie here, or Doogie's going to be on us. So we'll
he's the man to give you the roster, baby.
Yes, he will.
To his guys over there, he'll give you the 26. So, all right.
Yes, he will. All right, Pat. We'll talk to you later this week. Reusse Unchained, presented by our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So, listen, I know on the YouTube channel here we're showing you the Benningtons, but it's also transitioning into the colder months here soon. And Power Lodge is Minnesota's CF Moto Superstore. Since they buy more, you save more. And Power Lodge has new deals to get you ready for your fall escape. Save thousands on CF Moto off-road and side-by-sides 4x4, starting at an unbelievable $45.99. Get ready for whatever the wilderness throws at you this year. Power Lodge with multiple locations around Minnesota, Miller Marine and St. Cloud. Go to powerlodge.com to find out more.